guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals.
Welcome to Real Deal Media's #1 show, World at War. Yes, I'm your cruise director, Dean Ryan, cruising with you to midnight and beyond until we rid the cancers of society around the world. And that's my opening statement because it's true. If you didn't get anything or capture anything from that just marvelous intro, well, they say a picture says 1,000 words. Well, signs and symbols say 1,000 pictures, and that certainly did that. Well, tonight is a very special episode. Once again, just like the previous night where we learned some things. Well, you're going to learn some things tonight. You're going to learn a lot of things tonight. You're going to learn that there is a secret or not so secret shadowy government that masquerades behind the little puppet politicians and how they infiltrate independent media in certain branches of it, how they study the psychological implications and elements that people watch certain shows and how to infiltrate them and take advantage of them. You're going to learn that. But the big enchiladas and the big takeaway is you're going to learn who I'm now understanding is truly one of the biggest perpetrators behind the day after January 5th of 2021. You're going to learn that. Then you're also going to learn who is coordinating with a certain law firm in that creepy state called Connecticut. And that's why tonight's episode is called The Hunt for Alex Jones. But to join me for this deep dive and exploration into the wickedness that surrounds us, the saboteurs, is actually one of the people, one of the stars from that film Shadowgate from just 2 years ago. His name is Paul Bergy. Paul's an author. He is a host of his own show, which I had the pleasure of seeing the other night, and it's a fine job. But also he is someone who, like yours truly, was kind of screwed over in a certain sense while making that film and shortly thereafter, but has a lot to share with us here tonight, as do I. And I'm going to introduce him right now. I think he's here right in the studio. Paul Bergy, welcome to World at War here. Nice to see you.
Thank you very much for having me. Patrick Bergy. I mix up your name. I get them spun around all the time, though, too.
I'm sorry, Patrick. I was reading something, and Paul, I've been having a lot of these issues. But, yeah, Patrick. Yes, I do apologize. Patrick,
Houston, we have a problem.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the American Awakening. Can you guys hear me okay? Just do a little bit of a sound check there. I just wanted to get the show kind of lined up, set up, prefaced there. Thank you, Missing Parts. Hello, Missing Parts. Hello, Trump's next wife. Roosh, weird. Some of these names. Hey, Tony. Hello. Hello, everyone. Hello to my YouTube friends as well. Hello, Pam. So tonight I wanted to go over, I'm taking like a segment of Dean Ryan's interview with me last night. It's titled The Hunt for Alex Jones. You'll be able to you'll see it through the entire thing. And you can go to YouTube, Dean Ryan, and that's where I pulled this from. And, I didn't know what to expect when I did this interview last night, other than I was probably going to set even a personal record for people I've pissed off. I had no idea who Ryan. I keep wanting to call him Dean, and I tried calling him Mike. I screwed him up with Mike before too. It's just kind of funny that there was no ill will there whatsoever. As someone suggested, hey, no, I just think my best guess, and this is just I'm thinking California weed. So that would be my best guess there. But again, I don't know. I don't know Dean. Dean does not know me. Obviously, he kept calling me Paul. So I think I can we're not that tight. Jesus. But no, so that I really wanted to hear from Dean, and it's a really interesting story. It was we did about 2.5 hours. I cut out about an hour's worth of the show for tonight. And what I did is there's a segment a little bit after this, actually I think coming right up. So I just went to that quick introduction that we did here. I did skip his intro, which was actually really cool. I'm kind of jelly on the intro. But no, it was a really good conversation. And we're gonna run through the Paul Bergy show. We're gonna run through the interview last night, Paul and all. And I learned some things. I'm telling you right now. I think you might too. So, without any further ado, because this is, I got like a 2-to-1 thing going here. I got 1 hour worth of video and 2 hours worth of show, so I could theoretically talk for an hour and play all of this. But that never seems to actually work out properly. So let's continue.
Thank you for joining us here tonight. And now, full disclosure, we've never known about each other, or I haven't. We've never met before till the other day. And why don't you share, Patrick, real quick?
I'm looking at myself.
What brought your attention towards
Glad I
me and
changed my
how
shirt.
this meeting began to come about?
Well, as you said, I was one of the people. I don't like consider myself star in any of this. This wasn't acting or anything. I was a whistleblower in Shadowgate, when Shadowgate happened, so many things changed after that happened. It was like, well, we'll go into that in more detail, but later on, as things started to become more apparent, I started separating myself from Millie, Gavin, Patrick Byrne, Rudy Giuliani, Tory. As I started separating myself from them, I started doing more research, and then people who would normally not have spoken to me would start sharing stuff with me. And then I was introduced to a video that you had done. And when I first started watching it, I was like, oh, this guy is just, he's just like a jilted or something. He's just saying these things about Millie,
Scorned.
right?
Yeah.
Even though I'm like in agreement with a lot of it. But
Patrick,
yes.
Let me stop you real quick, because there's a lot of people who are watching this. They don't know exactly who we're talking about. So what Patrick's talking about is that in this film that he was starring, just semantics for a minute, but it was done by
I think maybe chief protagonist of the Shadowgate story could work.
Girl named Millie Weaver and her just wonderful, pleasant husband, Gavin Wincing. Is it Wincy? Wince.
Wincy.
Who is a filmmaker. And
Tori
rather
Spelling.
than me tell you, but because he was in the movie with them, and that other girl, Tori Spelling. Let me just show you the clip that I think changed. This is the
Spelling
clip.
is going to hate you if she ever hears you referred to that same one.
Well, it's mutual at this point. But this is a clip of yours truly back in 2020 that we dug up from the vault. And I think this explains how I felt at the time. And now, mind you, the guy on the show, the other guy, the Hobbit, he gave his review of the film the day prior, and I was just trying to catch up. But I had a lot to say. So this is me from 2 years ago, and I was lacking vitamin D back then, you'll notice. Here it is.
Vitamin
Check it out.
D.
Pedophiles. Dean, your thoughts?
Well, let me start from the low-hanging fruit, and that's Millie Weaver. And I do want to make a public apology for introducing the world to Millie Weaver. And yes, that's true. Millie Weaver was discovered by me in 2013.
He's apologizing.
And she wanted, I got her the job at InfoWars. I was slowly doing that. And I thought, she's exactly what the alternative media needs. A pretty girl just spouting off the news, reading the teleprompter. And it's a wild, wild west industry. So basically, she is shady to the core. I mean, this girl is, I don't even know where to start. I should do a special on it. She's controlled by the guy she's with. This Gavin guy, that's who made the movie. Millie just appeared in it. Now, the movie's pretty decent, Jim. I watched like 20 minutes, but I cringe because I know she's a bad human being who publicly disemboweled me because her boyfriend at the time, 7 years ago, said, because he was trying to buy his way into InfoWars when I was working there. So he wanted to get me out of the way. So she said, with a bold-faced sociopath look, she didn't know who I was on a Twitter rant, and then she's never met me before, even though we did reports together. And in full disclosure, I went on a few dates with her mom, and she's a stripper. And it was different times back then. I'm a family man now, and so they've always had.
You can hear me laughing.
Okay, I think that's good enough.
That part, man. It's always.
Yeah,
I'm a family man now. I'm a family man now. I told him, yeah, we've all made bad choices, right? Hold on here. I'm still getting text messages from people that know that I'm on a show. But no, talk tonight. Okay. Here we go. Cool. Pretty good response from what I just read there with this interview, by the way, tonight. Just throw that out there. But So Dean dated Millie's mom, and allegedly got her started, got her job into InfoWars. Seems to regret it. That interview that he did back then, it's actually quite hard to find, but it was quite telling. And when I saw it, which we're going to go into here and more, well, actually, I kind of cut that part out and I jumped to the Mason section, like in the next few moments, and then it picks up pretty much an hour. I think maybe 15 minutes of just consistent, without any cuts of the interview, which I think is going to really surprise some people, right?
I haven't seen this in like 2 years. I don't remember. So I'm glad we got to see how it all began. But,
Yeah, I threw the
but continue, Lisa, and then I'll come in towards the tail end before we get.
Now, to set this up a little bit, right? So this was when we went into, it was about an hour into the show. He went into a break, and I didn't know how long the break would be. I didn't know, so I'm like, hey, you mind if I slip out and grab a smoke? So I went out and grabbed a smoke. I didn't hear this part of the conversation because it started up after they just did like about a minute of like a commercial thing, and then started this up. This, I think you are going to find quite interesting. I did, right? Because, there are, and what I'll show you is gonna, I think surprise some people. But you need to pay attention to this, because this isn't just, Bergy being pissed off at Millie or Gavin. It's not Dean having personal issues. This is two people that said the same thing about a couple that were at the kind of like at the center of the Stop the Steal movement from December to January, right? And these people, however, behind the scenes, were literally the ones that were feeding this information to Trump, to Giuliani. So I think it's important for people to understand the kind of, who they're supporting, what they're supporting. As claimed by Gavin, a very high level, accomplished or achievement within the Masonic order, right? A freaking cult, OTAN, or whatever. So she's going to, I'm going to let her talk for a bit. I haven't even seen this. God is my witness. I haven't seen what she's going to say right now because I was out then smoking, and I wasn't watching this. I just knew I had like a couple minutes. So the first couple minutes of this, I haven't seen it. I'm looking forward to what she has to say. I was off stage at the time, so I couldn't really add much. So I wasn't able to add anything to it.
Patrick back.
Yeah, that's it for the headlines, really. We're going to now talk about this secret society. Right, OTO. The letters OTO stand for Ordo Templi Orientis. And I'm going to show you the logo. Right here. The little logo. And it means the Order of the Temple of the Orient, or the Order of the Oriental Templars. The origins of OTO are traced back to German occultist Karl Kellner, Henrik Klein, Franz Hartmann, and Theodor Reuss. The OTO was then completely reshaped by none other than, wait for it, Aleister Crowley. Yes. It gets interesting. There he is. Aleister Crowley died in 1947, and the four main branches of the OTO have claimed exclusive descent from the original organization.
So, Aleister Crowley, like the Satan guy, right? An occultist by every definition, I would argue. He was friends, actually, and you'll have to, double check this, but I believe he was friends with L. Ron Hubbard, oddly enough. Check that out, verify it. I think you'll find that was actually accurate. And another guy who was very high up in the military, actually, psychological warfare. I cannot think of his name. Let me see if anybody can toss that in there. Kermit Shoe. Yeah, ain't it wow? Here we go. Change brain frequency to understand her. Can I turn CC on? I don't think so, but I'll look into that. Yep. L. Ron Hubbard. Michael Aquino. That's it. Thank you. So verify those, but I believe actually the three of them, right? So when key figures of basically the insurrection, right, and are also members of like cults like this, which you'll see. And by the way, also like, given platforms, but, on like, religious, quote unquote, or allegedly religious shows, then, you kind of got to stop and ask yourself, what's going on, right? You got Lindell TV with a cross. I think if you enter code Grifter, you'll get 666 off. Right? Yeah. Enter Grifter at Lindell TV. Right? But Lindell TV, you got the little cross there, oh, we're all good little Christians. Don't worry about us. And then they go putting on people where is that? Is that there? No, there. Then they go putting on people, like this. So Gavin, Millie's husband, told me and literally shared a picture with some key members of the Masonic order. Gavin himself claims to be a 33rd degree time Mason, right? These aren't no porch Masons right here. These are the real deal. And of course, goes on, he's sharing with me the NATO OTAN, right? So I'm calling bullshit on all this stuff, right? I'm not a freaking, I think maybe at best the Masonic order is like one of the oldest, grifter type things in our country, right? Why not? If they aren't, and they've been fighting all this stuff to do something for how long is it going to take them to do it? Apparently, they got a time machine, right? So I'm calling bullshit on it. People can, certainly people will be out there going, oh, no, Bergy, it's real. I can't believe you. But I'm like, well, I can prove it, other than just, stand there wearing an apron.
The main one of these is based in California and is headed by an ex-student of Aleister Crowley's, or at least it was, and his name was Grady McMurtry. This quite attractive looking fellow here with the lovely little spectacles on.
Doesn't do anything for me.
He assumed the title Caliph of the OTO as is specified in correspondences between him and Crowley dating back to the 1940s. And you'll find out why this is all relevant when Dean comes back, but it's very interesting and very relevant to what's coming up. The OTO was modelled after and associated with European Freemasonry. Who knew? And contains the same ritualistic practices and degrees, etc., as your typical Freemason lodge.
Now, what I'd like to say here, Kermit Shoe over on Twitch says, hubby retired Navy, says the military is neck deep with those types. I would agree. However, they're not supposed to be. You're not supposed to, you're not at all. I mean, it's like you could get booted out if they found that you were a member of a gang or cult and shit. That which, you would argue that probably, would fall under. And so, although I'm like, there are rules that say you can't do it, clearly they do. So I would agree with what they said, but that's only because, they can get away with anything they think.
However, unlike the Freemasons, OTO is centered around Crowley's Thelema. You've all heard of Thelema before, and is the central religious principles. And yeah, basically, the OTO, the Temple of Templi Orientis, accepts the principles of the Book of Law, which was written by Aleister Crowley in 1904. In short, this book proclaims a new eon in human thought, culture, and religion, and emphasizes the law of Thelema, which is do what thou wilt. Basically, which means, when you translate that down, live by your own true will, aka do whatever the hell you like, because there's no consequences. Thelema is a complicated set of magical, mystical, and religious beliefs that were formed in the early 20th century. To narrow it down to its most basic, these people believe that we live in the age of Horus. And here we go, the age of Horus. There's a little all-seeing-eye there as well, who represented the previous ages. The age of Isis was a time of matriarchy. The age of Osiris was a time of patriarchy. And the age of Horus, who is their child, is an age of individualism. The child Horus striking out on his own to learn and grow. Believers in Thelema will insist that they do not worship Satan, which is both true and false.
Yeah, it's only they never do. But so here, what Lisa's talking about now is the husband of Millie. This character here, yeah, that guy, as seen on TV. He is part of the Satanic Order.
He put Gavin in a little rat suit. That is freaking hilarious. It went up too quick for me to stop.
This character here.
Yeah, there it is. Nice. Yeah, he seems to have some issues with Gavin. I will give you that. He has some issues with Pete Santilli. I don't have the same. I have Pete Santilli. He's very close to Roger Stone. Obviously, there's some conflicts of interest that we have, but I've otherwise always been kind of respected by Pete Santilli, and I've always tried to respect him. So, the people have their own issues. In full disclosure, well after I had already published it on my site, before actually doing the show, I sent Pete a text message and said, "Hey, listen, I didn't want to blindside you with this. I wanted to have a conversation with this individual, and when after my initial conversations with Dean, I realized that you guys, I knew this was going to be a soup sandwich, right? So basically, So I sent him a text and said, listen, that's not why I'm doing this. I'm not doing this to be a dick. I'm certain it's going to end up, you'll end up being brought up by me, and when you'll really have to listen to the full interview to understand the depth of what this goes to. And these aren't like 6 degrees of separation like Kevin Bacon. These are first person shooters here, connected to Roger Stone, Stuart Rhodes. Now it's complicated because Dean's friends with Stuart Rhodes. Stuart Rhodes was banging my attorney, which was his attorney, but where he was banging his attorney like sexually, she was just fucking me, and it wasn't sexual. It was like like a dick, right? Killing my case. Which it didn't take long. It didn't take long for me to realize or understand that the connection my case and my complaint had with Stuart Rhodes, right? So why this person, as conflicted as they knew they were, ever took my case is something that they'll have to answer to, I believe, one day with the Texas bar, right? But for now, this situation where we have mutual friends, we have mutual enemies all across the board, he's going back now like almost a decade. He's going back 7-10 years with some of these relationships. His relationship with Pete Santilli goes back to Bundy Ranch. Bundy Ranch is also tied to Stuart Rhodes. Bundy Ranch was tied to a group of documentary journalists who actually literally, not even like confidential informants, were literally FBI agents that had gone undercover as journalists, which blows my mind. I can't even believe that was allowed. And we've never had a conversation about that. But I think that's probably a bad idea, right? And so, wow, look at all that actually grew from that Bundy experience, which I would argue kind of like, so Pete Santilli went to jail. He claims he was a journalist. I've been trying to, I've had shows saying, what is a journalist now in the age of social media? I don't know. I know they were so important by our founding fathers that they put them literally in the First Amendment. So clearly, journalists and journalism in a whole is important to our country. But otherwise, I don't know, right? I don't know what defines it. I know there's a lot of them out there that for personal or politics or profit will sell themselves for a narrative that somebody else is trying to push. That's one of the key claims I made with my work in IIA. It's one of the key claims I made in Shadowgate. So, that and like fake bot armies, which Pete is guilty of and owns up to it, having used to really start and grow his audience initially. Again, that wasn't illegal. I think it was. I'm hoping, because I did the same thing. I can't be too judgmental. I didn't do the same thing, but I helped enable it and pioneer it. So I'm just hoping that people, maybe eventually like me, people like Pete, will sit back and say, okay, that worked. I could do it, but maybe just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something, right? And that if everybody did this, we are literally contributing to the entire decay and breakdown of humanity, I believe. It's an interesting thought.
Yeah, that guy.
We talked too much, and
It's
now
as
we're
seen
gonna
on TV.
run out of time.
He is part of the Satanic Order, the OTO, a bunch of doofuses that get around red robes and do some very satanic stuff. Well, how do we know that? Oh, because it's true. 1,000% off the record. Nothing's off the record with you, Gavin. He said, Patrice, whatever, now having passed away, I can share his name. He was Secretary General of the OTAN and others. Can you say older pre-existing security protocols, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, he's a part of it. He is the mind controller. Look, mind control is real. It's not what you think it is or saw in the movies. There's other methods and methodologies to do it, and they usually do it to sexually abused individuals. Okay, Millie Weaver comes from a long line of this, and to further
What about Tory?
my point here, because I don't just speak out of my derriere like guys with the 70s porn mustache there. Well, just to prove a point here, and I come bearing gifts per usual. Look at this thing here. This is the long line of Masonic politicos that are behind the Millie Weaver character and experience. Oh, there it is. Leo Ryan. Yes, I heard about him.
Now, pay attention to this. This is really interesting.
Alicia's
You got to love that hair, right?
father or something, cousins, all high-level Masons right there. Now, this guy right here, Lisa, his name is, excuse me for a moment. Congress Leo Ryan. Do you recognize him? He was at Ghana for Jim Jones when they all drank the Kool-Aid and died. He was the congressman that was there, and then he was killed when he tried to escape. Yeah. So there's a long list and line of these extremely creepy Masonic figures that surround the.
But think about it. You know, who would have? It kind of changes things when you realize that at least one of the congressmen that was literally there on the ground. You got to stop and say to yourself, well, maybe there was even a greater connection than we would have even remotely have considered to the Jonestown cult, which was a very serious thing. Shit.
The Millie Weavers and her sister Minna, whatever, was dating another high-level congressperson in California. I can't remember his name. Hung out with him one time at that party, know him, and this was the party I met them at right here. You remember that, Millie? There's Felicia in the middle. She was so nice to me. There's Minna, and then that's Pauly Shore in the middle. So, this is what happens here, Lisa, and we're just unleashing the demons on these people.
Yeah, there is a reason that the OTO set up their headquarters in California. It's on the 33rd parallel.
And now, can I add just real quick while the thought's in my mind, because that doesn't always stay there. Her mom, which was just shown there, I believe on the end, far right, her mom was the one that Kelly Sorrell, my former attorney, the attorney that was banging Stuart Rhodes being Dean Ryan's friend, I believe. See why I get so confused with this? And then we'll get to that actually shortly. 4/30/2020. We'll get there shortly. Not quite as cool as 4/20/2020, but interesting.
Really? It's also the throat chakra of the world, Los Angeles.
It's on here, and they set it up right on this line.
Isn't that interesting? How special?
Yes,
Yeah,
Kurt.
and they have a
Dallas.
lodge in Culver City. They invited me once. I told this story. Yes, the Masons invited me, a friend of mine, to go there for a buffet. I didn't go because $35. And I said, that's too much for buffet. So I guess that saved me from being a whatever Mason. I just don't care. I wouldn't want to belong to any organization that would have me. But Lisa Duffy, thank you so much for your
Wait a minute.
halftime enlightenment.
I wouldn't want to be a part of any organization that would have me. You know, I would actually probably say the same thing myself.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll see you shortly towards the end. All right. We are back. Thank you, everybody, for rejoining us here at World at War. I am still Dean Ryan, cruising with you to midnight and beyond, and I have a very special guest here tonight, Paul Bergy. I'm going to bring him back in a second to recap what we did
Houston,
in the first half here before we took our little halftime intermission. Is we talked about the origins of these people, how he found me, my issues with, with the Millie Weavers and with the Pete Santillis, who's now, trying to steamroll Stewart. And believe me, I'm not like, if you don't know, I'm not just like aggressive and angry just because. You have to push someone to this level, whether it's you're trying to destroy someone's career, you're trying to threaten someone's life, and you are publicly lying, defaming. What do you think I'm going to do? Do you think I'm going to sit down on my thumbs and just curl my little porn mustache? I don't think so. So anyways, to talk about that and the Sandy Hook law firm now, which I want to start, and then we're going to get into the day after January 5th. And that's a true of a whopper of a story. Okay, Paul Bergy, thank you for holding on here. Now let's get into it here.
It's Pat Bergy.
See, okay, we're going to get into, I'm going to bring Patrick Bergy to the stage here. Patrick, so good to see you. I don't have my glasses tonight. Patrick, I'm sorry. And full disclosure, I know someone named Paul Bergy, and it's just, God. Anyways, I'm an idiot.
There was apparently, I believe, a large African-American gentleman that played football named Bill Bergy that I'm no relation to as well.
Patrick, let's continue now. Okay, let's get into this now. Let's talk about the Sandy Hook law firm and what you found out about this and who's involved in this and what their objectives are, because this is some serious stuff. And somebody just texted me, yes, I know it's Patrick, not Paul. Yeah, so this is going to be sticking with me all year long now. Thank you. I can see the videos made. Go ahead, Patrick.
So the story I got from Gavin was that, and that they were working with, there was like a war going on with Millie and Gavin and their certain people that were working with InfoWars before I even met them, right? And I started picking up on this pretty quick. Shoot, where were you go? Help me out here, Ryan. Help. See now, it's not so easy. Right? It's not so easy. You could suggest the Wii, but there's a lot of stuff going on here. There's a lot of damn buttons going on here. There's a lot of information coming in all over the place. You got that freaking coin spinning around and shit. We're lucky I get in. We're lucky I stitch together 2 sentences properly. Help me out here.
I'm having problems too. Okay.
What was the question?
So the question is, we want to get into the law firm coming out of Connecticut.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you.
I'm having the same issues.
The law firm, right? So
okay, continue, Paul.
So this is interesting. So what according to Gavin, that law firm had evidence that InfoWars, that like the majority, if not all of the people that were suing Alex Jones that real quick, Tony over in Twitch suggested, thought that he might have stated that he knows a Paul Bergy. No, he doesn't know a Paul Bergy. I'm thinking he just knows a ruggedly handsome guy named Paul and just keeps, mixing me up, Tony. Were the victims of the Sandy Hook, right? The parents. They were all, and this is alleged by Gavin, they were all former InfoWars like customers and followers. And it was after they had reached out, several of them reached out to Alex Jones saying, hey, we love you, we follow you, we buy your merchandise, but what you're saying about our kids is just wrong. Please stop, right? And according to Gavin and his conversation with the attorneys, InfoWars used the data from the purchases. And again, let me just be really clear. What I'm doing is repeating something that I would swear under oath was told to me by Gavin. I think Millie as well, but I can't be sure. I know for sure Gavin. Now, I've actually stated this for quite some time. It's been public with me for quite some time, 6-8 months. Well before I think you would find anybody, if it was true, that would have publicly announced that information, the stuff I'm talking about. So when people ask me, well, how can you prove what you're saying? All I can do is say, listen, if you check with those attorneys or Alex Jones and any of that is true, then I think you could say, well, how else, would Bergy have figured that out or found that out? I actually also, I believe I have conversations with Gavin in which we discuss that law firm as well. I'm going to have to look back at the text because I just haven't looked back at them. But if that's the case, and I'm going to continue on here with this real quick, I just had to point this out. If that's the case, and as you'll see very shortly, the date, I'm going to hold off going into this until we get to the date part. And when we get to the date part, remind me to finish this story here, which kind of ties everything together and maybe suggests this was planned long before. When I say kind of, I mean, holy shit, it looks like this is planned freaking just included Shadowgate. That the family members had made and used those, their access to their addresses to send InfoWars miscreants by their houses to taunt and attack them, basically. Which, if true, would just be an absolutely disgusting thing to do. That is true. If that was true, it would be a disgusting thing to do. I will stand behind that. But again, how else, it's like, oh, did Bergy just think of this? No, I mean, how else would I have come up with that and have been saying that for so long? This was told to me by Gavin. Whether or not it's true, I don't know. Gavin knows if it's true. I suspect the law firm would know if it's true or not. I suspect Alex Jones would know if it's true or not. And I think that's a safe thing to say, in my opinion, right? And if true, it would actually kind of explain why the jury made such an immediate judgment on Alex Jones without, just kind of like, holy shit, this man's guilty. Let's just go to, let's just skip the rest of it and go right on to how we're going to punish him. Because if that was true and they had like indisputable evidence of that, that would be a really bad thing, right? And so that was the story that I had gotten from Gavin as far as what he told me his communications were with that law firm And
Okay.
I don't know if it's true or not, but if true, that really
Right.
is like a horrible thing.
Yeah, I don't know how true that is either, and consider it's coming from a complete and utter rodent like this guy. So, and thank you for sharing. So here's what it is Alex did a Sandy Hook story in 2015. Briefly, all he did was point out the fact that Anderson CIA Cooper was using a green screen, claiming he was there, and all the anomalies of it. There was a lot of anomalies. It was definitely an event. There was even a green screen used in the Rittenhouse court case for whatever reasons. People use green screens all the time. Maybe they can't fly. Who knows? But what happened was when he got into the political arena with the Trump experience and all that, and that's when Hillary Clinton, that dead person has. That's when she put the targets on him, because you know what it is. First they ignore you, then they laugh at you. Ah, ha, ha, ha. He's stupid. And conspiracy. Then they attack you, and that's what happened.
Can I just say that stuff like this is out of my AOR, area of responsibility for military nomenclature fans. I just can't follow it. And I am, again, a whistleblower. This isn't something I really want to be doing. I think, though, the quality is actually pretty good, right? So even though I don't want to be doing it, and I'm trying to just fix something and be, so I don't have to do it no more, I think the quality actually looks really good. I'm watching this going, hey, that's pretty good. So if I got to do it, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, or, okay, close to it. No, that's not my bag. It's not my bag, man.
He really barely covered it. Now, here is the interesting thing. You told me now that this law firm, the Sandy Hookers, that they contacted or something with Millie Weaver and Mr. Wincy.
Mm-hmm.
And talk about that and what that entailed, and then I'm going to slam dunk it after you tell me. Go ahead.
Well, that's the story that I laid out just then is exactly it. That's what they had relayed to me as far as their communications were with that law firm, the law firm representing the victims that you were talking about. So that's all I know.
So here's what it is. In 2020, I went public on this. I'm going to show you this article that I put together back then, if I can find the damn thing. That particular law firm, they contacted Mike Adams. This is how, you want to talk about deep states and law firms like I was sharing with everyone yesterday? This is as corrupt as you get, and that's why Connecticut is nothing but a spook state. But look at this article here that I put out in 2020 there, Patrick. And you tell me here. Now, there it is. Breaking: law firm behind Sandy Hook families now targeting major big conservative names. Well, we can confirm a twisted plot that has unfolded within recent days. It's deep state strategy rollout. And without reading the whole thing, I will talk about it. So this is what happened. This law firm contacted, I'm sure, a whole bunch of different people, but in particular Mike Adams of Natural News, and wanted him to strike out publicly against Alex Jones, and then Tucker Carlson, and at the time Sean Hannity. And they offered him money. Then they offered him a favorable review in Wikipedia, which they control. This is what they wanted him to do. He didn't do it, of course. Now, can we say they offered Millie Weaver and Mr. Wincy? Yes. Did they do it? Of course they did. They were hated at Infor's office. People couldn't work with them. She was a backstabbing snake from the time she got there to the time she got booted out. And furthermore, Furthermore, just to show you how corrupt that this law firm is, and it was stated publicly by InfoWars, is that in the midst of all the emails, they sent child pornography to InfoWars, which got caught in the spam. And God forbid you would have opened it. That's how they were going to get them. So this is a very corrupt, and not to mention what they've done.
The first time, like that weekend of the 4th of July, that I had met Gavin and Millie, something like that with like potentially child porn getting uploaded to their computers was something that they were talking about. Like they had been hit with that as well. I'm pretty sure if you looked, you would find public comments that they had made about that.
I'm the Jim Fetzer who works here at Real Deal Media. In an old man, living off Social Security, they put a $500,000 lien on his house because of his book about that Sandy Hook. So they can say that, oh, the families were harassed or whatever. People can do, there's a lot of people that research these things on their own accord. But to say Alex is behind it or Jim Fetzer was as stupid as when Tipper Gore went in front of Congress to try to pin suicides of teenagers on Judas Priest in the early 1980s. I don't think so.
Can you put that back up there, that article you just had? I wanted to show you something that I don't think you noticed.
I probably didn't.
Kind of supports what your theory is. Look at the date on that, Dean. Check this out.
4/30/20. Tell me about that date. Why is that date important and significant?
Because the first time I was contacted by Millie and Gavin was 4/20/2020. Who? 4/20. Who?
I bet you were. Yeah.
10 days before you wrote that. 5 days before you wrote that was when Millie's mom was contacted the police because of the incident that happened.
Yeah. She didn't get arrested. She didn't get arrested for uploading her Shadowgate, which is a terrible narrator. That's why I can't watch the movie. She got arrested because she got in a physical altercation with her mom. And I know this because the mom told me. It's bullshit.
Now, can I throw something in there that you're going to find interesting right now?
Only if it makes me look good, but go ahead. Yes.
So, nobody looks good in any of this. Leastwise America, right? But that woman, Kelly Sorrell, the attorney, who was banging Stuart Rhodes, she was the one that reached out to Millie's mom and got Millie's mom to recant all the things that she had said about Millie in a signed, notarized document that Kelly then submitted to the court that helped get them out. It was like literally she had put that together in the weekend while Millie was in jail. So her mom, based on that letter, basically recanted all the things that she had claimed that day on the 25th. And this was, again, 3 months later. And, you know, you might be totally right. I don't, like I said to you, I don't come to this interview or anything with all the answers. I come here with questions, right?
Sure.
Was Millie's arrest just a red herring, right? And it had nothing to do with the timing of the upload. That's entirely possible. It could have been I've made the argument it could have been because of a raccoon. That's a whole nother story. You got to get my book for that one. So, my friends, the raccoon is actually the best story. Thank you very much. And it is in my book, which you can find online on Amazon or at freedomstream.tv for the moment, at least, and at Patreon. I'm going to go into a 10-minute break and use the little boy's room. I'm going to use the men's room because I identify as a man, not a little boy. And then I'm going to grab a smoke. I am going to top off my coffee and return and we'll watch the remainder of this. I think you're actually going to find it pretty interesting. If you haven't already, I don't know. I don't know what you would find interesting. These are key people, key positions, making key decisions within our country that is affecting our very core, the very core of our democracy. Back in 10, my friends. Thank you very much. God bless you, Patrick. That was wonderful. Hold on one second. Where's Paul? Damn it. Here we go. So, sorry about that. I was actually caught up in a conversation with somebody kind of significant. It relates to last night's interview. And so it was well worth it, my friends. I'm telling you right now. This is kind of getting interesting for sure. But no, I'm going to have a nice little chat with someone a little bit later. And wow, things are starting to happen. So, anyway, well, we'll see. Don't like to get ahead of myself. So much disappointment with this stuff, always. But, but so I don't know, right? But I also don't just dismiss. I mean, you were on Coast to Coast, right? You guys are open to conspiracies and such. And when you realize that the day that my book arrived on the 25th was the day that happened, and then 3 months later, as she's uploading this documentary, and this girl Tori is telling her that, hurry, how much more time, like she knew something was going to happen. And then she does get arrested. Again, it could be a red herring. I'm not sitting here saying that I know, but I'm also saying I don't know. This wasn't it. Now, Laura, let me real quick here. Laura Logan made the suggestion, according to Millie and Gavin, and even according to Millie, who's talked about this. She just doesn't use Laura Logan's name. But it was suggested by Logan that Millie's arrest was orchestrated from a classified skiff on Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, right? And so, and literally, you can go to that Raw Story article that Jordan Green,
I'm going to go there right now. This is Laura Logan.
Investigated that. He looked into that, and he wrote about that, right? Now, was that true? I don't know.
That's me.
Was Laura Logan making that up? I don't know. Her husband is a former PSYOP contractor.
Oh,
right?
really?
Yes. So, I do know one thing I do know for a fact, personal as a fact, that when Millie, myself, that guy Robert, just real quick. This article is a 29-minute read. Jordan put a lot of time. He followed up with people whenever possible, and then cited everything. But he put a lot of time into this, and what this stuff goes into. I mean, if you go to the very bottom. Where are we at here? If you go towards, well, not that far down. Come on. Jesus. There we are. If you go towards the bottom in February 2021, filing, Davis reported that he had expressed concern to Sorrell that Bob seemed to have some sort of undue influence over the plaintiff and was poisoning their thinking about the case strategy with suggestions. Now, this is involved, this gets into like that guy, Robert Caron. Robert Caron and his association to Laura Logan. Robert Caron was on the call when I spoke to Laura Logan with Millie, Gavin. Now, we weren't physically in the same location, but he put the call together. And I'd also pointed out before that, the last time before DC that I had actually physically seen or engaged with like that with Robert Caron was in 2018. I met him again for like this, maybe the third time, in 2020, in like November, December 2020. in D.C. or Virginia, right there. I can't remember exactly where the restaurant was. But otherwise, these people have been, you know, this is an organized tactical operation. How that ties in to Millie's arrest, I don't know. It could all be a red herring, and her arrest could just be completely because she beat the shit out of her mom. But then again, her mom recanted all of that to Kelly. Okay, well, maybe she was threatened or something. See, I don't know, right? This is all way understanding these and actually having the answers to these things. That stuff is above my pay grade. I do the best that I can, right? Don't expect me to put everything together here. It's just, I'm putting this out here. I try to use only the facts to guide me. You know, and I maintain completely open when those facts guide me in another direction. But it needs to be fact-based guidance. Karen, Laura Logan were in our first conference call. Laura and her husband was there too on that conference call. They were nice as could be to Millie. So sympathetic and understanding. Oh my God, you were arrested. Oh my God, all of this. But then when they got to me, it was like if they could have put lights on me and interrogated me as like I was guilty of something. They're like, they started it out. Why are you doing this? What do you got to gain? Are you getting paid for this and all this? And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm a whistleblower that you know, Millie asked to help get my story out. Nobody else was. It was getting buried by everybody else. And so I accepted that. And so, but Laura Logan is, she didn't tell me at the time. I found out like a few days later, and that's why I was so pissed at her, that her husband literally worked for the same people that I was exposing. Okay, I mean, so where's the journalistic ethics in that?
Yeah, so this is so interesting because when, you know, on a different topic, but real quick, when you look deeper into who these news people are, whether it's, you know, someone on MSNBC or Laura Logan or what's his name, Morning Joe, Mika Brzezinski, whose father, Zbigniew Brzezinski, created Al-Qaeda in 1979.
He's the father of
my God
operation. I said that.
And who's the other woman? What's her name? Mitchell woman. Her husband was Alan Greenspan, for crying out loud. So we are seeing Central Intelligence, the actor division, masquerading as news people, just like the 40,000 former CIA people are running Facebook right now, and that's why we only reach 100 people per episode. Please.
Jillian Turner was a former vice president of Jones Group International, right? She's now the one of the White House correspondents that sits right next to John Roberts. Now, she is, as I understand it, she was literally she still held the title of the vice president of one of the largest DC energy lobbies that specialize in Saudi energy, while being the White House correspondent for Fox News, right? And so I'm like, when Laura Logan goes out on Fox News with Jillian Turner right next to her, right? And they're talking about General McChrystal and his use of defeat disinfo, which he was pumping like $65 million into social media influencers in Florida during the 2020 election to influence the election, right? When she's talking about him using DARPA technology, she's literally sitting there next to Jillian Turner, who was the vice president of the company that owns the ShadowNet, which was their competitor. It's like Coke and Pepsi. And
Right.
and it's just so frustrating to me. It's like, why are you calling out General McChrystal when you're sitting next to the person who's the owner of the frickin' ShadowNet?
Yeah,
I
that
digress.
that is
I
interesting.
digress.
General McNichols, there's a lot of questions of his involvement in the so-called murder or disappearance of Michael Hastings in 2013. And
McChrystal.
that,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I can't even
Yeah.
pronounce names.
Yeah.
Yes, him.
Joe Biggs
And
was a good friend of his.
Joe Biggs was a
I
good friend.
dedicated
Yeah.
my last book to the memory of Michael Hastings.
Mhm.
Um, uh,
I was there. I was there.
when I read his book, it was like I would have been the guy, the analyst, the IT guy on the other side of the wall, where he was
Mhm.
describing the relationships and the things that was going on when he was in Afghanistan. I was there at
Sure.
almost the same time. I should have shut up right then. I got to get the. I don't remember if he answers it or not. I got to get more understanding of what his of how if how he knew or what he knew about Michael Hastings. I find that fascinating. See how many different points. Not 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon, but literally first person here, right? Providing support for the joint for the IOTF, the Information Operation Task Force in Kabul.
Right. So, let me just try to break it down for some people that may
I'm a
not
lot
know
to
some of these
absorb.
names. I mean, I have to try to explain. Michael Hastings was a former reporter from Rolling Stone, I believe, and what was it, Reddit or one of those outfits in Vice, I believe. And he had something very damning, what many have said on General McChrystal there. McNichols, and he got
McNichols.
into his car over there in Hollywood or Sunset Boulevard, where I was living at the time, and lost control of it. He couldn't control of it. They remote controlled it, crashed it into a tree, and it blew up into a fireball. Now, we were going to investigate that at the time at Infowars when I was there, but we were specifically told no by the wife of Michael Hastings, who is another said to be spook, they said. Yeah, could have been another spooks. But what did he have? Because shortly after that, then you saw the death and the mysterious one at that as of Andrew Breitbart. Shortly thereafter, this is all happening in time, just like Patrick said, April 30th. And here's another
Did he got my name right there.
thing to look at to further his point and drive it really home. Look at the article once again. After this comes out, Wikipedia bios. This law firm in Connecticut, within hours, Sean Hannity and the full banning of further appearances by Diamond and Silk. They were no longer on Fox News at that time. After this happened, then, in closing, this CT law firm. God, this is all review for me. Is in the midst of constructing one of the biggest class action lawsuits in the U.S. has ever seen against Alex Jones, which now we know. That's why they're allegedly filing bankruptcy, from what I heard.
So let me get this straight, my friends. This law firm, am I wrong here? I mean, I'm looking over at my at the chats right now. If I get something wrong, call me out. I think there's more of a delay on YouTube than there is on Twitch. But what he's saying there is that this has been the timing on this. He doesn't go up. He doesn't show the date. Remember the date on this, though? The date on this was a few days after I met Millie and Gavin. Now, those text messages and such are all in my third book. But let me look here real quick. Hold on. Gee. I think I can find this actually here pretty quick. Scotland hate the Scottish, right? That's not. Well, maybe not. I can't find it right off. It was really the first text message, but at any rate, it was on I've shown it many times. It was on April 4th, 2020. I ended up, and it was that day that he ordered my book. But that's the same exact time frame that we're looking at here with when apparently, I mean, if this is the same law firm and such that he's talking about, when that CT law firm was putting together that lawsuit against that, I mean, is CT law firm the same law firm that is doing the lawsuit right now with Alex Jones? And if so, is that the same ones that were going after Hannity and what was that, Tucker, I think? Now, if that's the case, it's not wrong for me to consider the possibility, at least, that Millie and Gavin and Tori engaging me on 415 and then with Tori and then on 420 with Gavin and Millie, that they're engaging me, someone who is exposing the use of your data for psychographics, social media, psychological warfare, and using someone like me who's trying to warn everybody about the dangers of this, and making a documentary that obviously, ties into InfoWars, right? Because that's their model. So if that was the case, that InfoWars was, like Gavin told me, and again, I'm just basing this on something I can't, I might be able to show in text messages, but I have to go back through them. But otherwise, it's just my word. But I believe, like I said, I would swear by it in court. So if that's the case, maybe they met before Gavin had told me that they had either reached out or been working with the law firm. In fact, I asked Gavin to speak to them about speaking to me. I think I may even have that in text messages, right? Why is that significant? Because right now, the trial that's going on with Alex Jones, let me do this here, is basically deciding how much he's going to be trial, how much he's going to have to pay, and they're looking at like $150 million right now. So let me actually pull this up here real quick.
Mr. Jones.
It's just first thing I grabbed. We'll leave it fully up like that. And I want to pull this up because not everybody's actually knows and seen what's going on with this. Here we go. Actually, here we go.
Mr. Jones, have you been listening to the proceedings so far? Do you have any reaction?
Well, here's my reaction. They have all our emails, all our documents, and then they say we didn't give them any documents, and so they defaulted us saying that we're guilty. So a judge says I'm guilty without a trial by jury, so now the jury decides how guilty I am. And they use unopened emails that people sent us as the proof that we're bad. This is all a giant hoax. It's anti-First Amendment. It's anti-American. It's a giant witch hunt. It's a show trial. It's a fraud. This is the weaponization of the judicial process.
Can I ask you, Mr. Jones,
and the weaponization of the courts.
The judge said yesterday that she found you liable by default because of your own actions. What was she referring to there? What's your response to that?
No, she just made it up. We gave them all the documents. The judge in Connecticut did the same thing. It's a fraud. They have no proof. They have no evidence. And so they just simply said that we didn't give them evidence and said that she decided I'm guilty, not a jury. So if the judges start deciding who's guilty and who's innocent and not juries, we're in deep trouble. This is all Americans having their rights robbed.
Mr. Jones, do you feel like you could have done something differently before that decision was
No.
made by the
The
judge?
default was a total fraud. We gave them more discovery than anybody ever has in a defamation case. Bank records, emails, everything. It's a lie. They have engaged in judicial tyranny, and this is an attack on the First Amendment and America, and people are waking up to it. This is an attempt to shut down a populist person for political reasons by corrupt judiciary. That's all this is a giant corrupt show trial. We deserve to be judged by a jury of our peers, not by a judge. In America, juries decide who's guilty and who's innocent. We're innocent until proven guilty, not guilty, the judge says, and then a jury decides how guilty.
How much of what Alex Jones is saying right there is true, I don't know. How would I know? I'm a private and not the best at that, right? But what if, you see, Millie and Gavin had a non-disclosure agreement with Alex Jones. I'm wondering if this case against Alex Jones, which, if by the way, I cannot approve with the shotgun, no jury trial even option given, that I do know enough about to not like or think that, wow, I wouldn't want that to happen to me. Because people are like, hey, Bergy, this guy threw you under the bus. Why are you trying to help him out? I'm not trying to help anybody out. Nothing I do is to try to help anybody out. It's to try to understand the truth, to get answers to things that are going on that have great significance to our national security, which is something I was responsible for protecting for a decade. So Alex Jones has a non-disclosure agreement with Millie Weaver, as I understand it. And so if Millie Weaver is in contact with the law firm that Ryan was just pointing out, what's to say that she wasn't in contact with him, assuming what Gavin was saying was correct, when what I'm saying, I was told that they were in contact and they were even going to put my name into them. Now, and then again, I've already said what Gavin told me. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But it kind of seems to me as though if it is true, then that would be a great way to prove what I'm saying. So if the law firm, what if the law firm set this up going back to April of 2020? What's tied to Alex Jones's case here? school shootings, for one, right? I've got to bring this over. Hold on here. Infowars. Hold on. School. Here we go. You know, if you can, and this is. Hold on. You know, if you can, and this is what President Trump's just looking at putting $1 billion into. If you can predictively determine if someone's likely to, let's say, go shoot up a school using the same tool.
Stay there. That's what William Binney talks about, is this can actually pinpoint and predict. Instead of surveilling everybody, it picks up the telltale signs and then surveils them. Well, let's get into all the different facets of it when we come back.
Maybe something like that. God is my witness. I had no idea of the depth of the involvement that Alex Jones had with Sandy Hook. I had been largely overseas from 2007 to 2015, almost 2016, mid 2015. And then even a little bit longer, jumped around a little bit. So I wasn't really, I don't follow Infowars, never had. Saying that probably made things a bit awkward, I would guess, but it's true. And if you can predictively stop a school shooting from happening based on the data analytics from from artificial intelligence, predictively analyzing people who are likely to do things like that, which we can, and certainly it improves with every iteration. Trump, as I said right there on Infowars, put $1 billion into that capability. But if you can do that, you can turn around, and if you can stop someone predictively from doing that, you could just as easily turn around, utilize the same type of psychographics and IIA as we saw Brittany Kaiser explain by targeting Steve Bannon's neurotics, which I would argue not just Steve Bannon, General Flynn, who was on the board of directors, and you know who else? Andrew Breitbart. Andrew Breitbart. He was tied to Cambridge Analytica, I believe, one of the founders as well. Please correct me if I'm wrong. So, see how all of these people all tie into something I got sucked into. I wasn't involved in any of this shit. I was actually the only one that can put his hand up and say, listen, I was overseas verifiably with the Department of Defense trying to protect our country from from our adversaries doing to our country the very thing I come back here and see you people doing to it. How was that supposed to end? Dragging me in there did not take predictive analytics to go, oh, wow, Bergy's not behaving like we wanted him to. No shit. And so as years go by, hindsight is now 2 years clear, and I look at these things. I think back to conversations I had with Millie and Gavin at the time, which, you always have to be careful with, with memories as they go back a couple years, especially after my prostate surgery, oddly enough. And I cannot just dismiss all of these connections to the same type of tactical coordinated operations I was trying to expose right there. Now, look at, and then I got to finish this thought here because it's kind of interesting. Alex Jones had, over 16 million active followers and subscribers. He was relentlessly going after, for over a decade, the left. If you want to believe, if you want to put the tinfoil hat on for a while, ask yourself, hey, maybe some of the bullshit he was spewing out was true, and big New World Order plans were being upset, right? At some point, would a tactical coordinated IIA operation funded by the military-industrial complex potentially be military-industrial complex, but ran out of very specific DC lobby firms? Just for fun, go watch the kind of movie Miss Sloane. But again, Miss Sloane was about the gun lobby, the Second Amendment. That's kind of a big deal in America, right? What does Alex Jones tie into all of this? He ties in what's the debate that occurs when there's a school shooting? Well, you can kill two birds with one stone. If you can damage Alex Jones enough, you can and discredit him and take away enough of his finances and his business, which, trust me, I know how that feels when they do that to you. But if you can do that to someone like Alex Jones, let's just devil's advocate. Maybe he was legitimately exposing some of these things. I'm not talking about like the babies on Mars. Jesus, people. But I'm talking maybe more down-to-earth, legitimate potential things that he might have just by accident repeated. Like me. When he had just by accident had me on his show. Right? So, every day, well, even a broke clock's right every day, right, Alex? So, is it impossible to presume that a DC lobby firm or some other organization would not put together a tactical coordinated operation which involves setting Alex Jones up? Now, if they did that, would it be inconceivable that they would use maybe a disgruntled employee, someone that maybe like a contractor that had been there 8 years and had another very disgruntled employee goes by the name of Nathan, living in a trailer on their farm just outside of their house, and all of these other all of these other highly pissed off former InfoWars people, right? Is it inconceivable that this wasn't part of a larger plan to take down Alex Jones, and in the process damage the pro-Second Amendment movement? Because you're using a school, right? And it's like, oh, Bergy, what do you know about that? How would you know about that? You can't prove it. Well, I've been consistent with my argument. If you can, and this is what President Trump's just looking at putting $1 billion into, if you can predictively determine if someone's likely to, let's say, go shoot up a school, using the same tools.
Stay there. That's what William Benning talks about, is this can actually pinpoint and predict. Instead of surveilling everybody, it picks up the telltale signs and then surveils them. Well, let's get into all the different facets of it when we come back.
We're already there. You don't think he's a pain in the ass to the Democrats? You don't think he poses a serious threat to their New World Order? Even if the New World Order stuff was largely just bullshit? I'm not sitting here conspiring to that. I'm a guy that likes to sit there and have facts. And I can't present you a lot of facts with I can't sit here and defend Alex Jones as a truthful person. Can't do it. But I can say that all of these things seem to be tied together. And is the Second Amendment something of any significance? Let me do this here real quick. Hold on here. I want to play this. Hold on. How will I do? Okay. Miss. There. There. Stop. Enlarge.
Lobbying is about foresight. About anticipating your opponent's moves.
She's your enemy now.
About foresight, about anticipating your enemy's moves. Obviously, this is not a real life scenario, but the things that she's saying are true if you are going to put together an operation like this.
And devising countermeasures.
How the hell did she manage that?
You're a piece of work, Elizabeth.
I was hired to win. I use whatever resource I have.
You want to lead the fight on gun control.
There's over 5 million of us, and we're armed. Start an inquisition.
They will throw you in jail for contempt of Congress!
The winner plots one step ahead of the opposition.
We have to make it personal. You know the word annihilate? It means reduce to nothing.
This is more important than my career.
It was mind-boggling,
You crossed the line.
ingenious,
Bugging and tapping.
completely unbelievable.
It's about making sure you surprise them. And they don't surprise you.
You know, if you can, and this is what I'm telling you right now, that is a powerful show. I saw it a couple of years ago. I brought that up to Tori. She not only knew about it, she's like, that's me, that's me, that's me. Wonderful. That woman wasn't a good person, by the way, just by any stretch. But that's not her. That beautiful woman was not at all representative of Tori in any way, shape, or form. I'm sorry. So we've got just a few minutes left in the show here. So let me get into the last few minutes of this. We're not going to finish what I have, obviously, but
Weaver and Gavin Windsor. Okay, now let's get to
interesting timing, isn't it, Dean?
Interesting timing, but now let's get to the moment we've been waiting for. With I'm going to play some of these videos, these little clips here, and Patrick is going to explain what in the world these are. we're going to get into Giuliani and then Tori Spelling as well. So here it is.
Motion. We begin our story with the war in Iraq.
These are opening stages of what will be a broad and concerted campaign.
This is the second floor of the Oswald Palace.
And look at that! Look at that handsome man there on the left. But that, by the way, is all video that I shot. That was Saddam Hussein's palace. You're looking at the first and second floor. The third floor, that's the highest floor, is where Petraeus's office was, and also where we had a neat little cigar smoking lounge and a place to shoot golf balls off of into the moat that was around the palace. It had a moat. No gators, to my knowledge, but I wouldn't have gone in there. A lot of golf balls did.
This victory, Camp Victory. Yeah, Camp Victory. Not much, but it's home for now. And my boys, which today is their birthday. I gotta give them. It's their birthday today for me. They just turned one about an hour ago for me.
You know how much it disgusts me? I didn't bring this up on his show, but whenever I see this, that was actually an incredibly difficult time for me. It's really hard to explain being away from your kids. Those are my twin boys, and it was their birthday, which is January 11th, and so I had gotten there October. So I had October, November, December, January. I hadn't seen my boys in at least 3 months, and then I was gone for 5 months before coming back for only a couple months between there. And that was their birthday. They just turned 1 year old. What was Millie Gavin doing when I was overseas trying to protect our country? Not the best, not the worst, but bringing something to the table. I brought something unique to the fight. I didn't bring PT, I brought IT. Something that not a lot of people brought to the table in 2008. There weren't a lot of guys making, 50, 80, 100,000 a year in their cushy IT jobs in, 2007 that were signing up to go to, or 2005 even, to go into to enlist in the Army. Just weren't a lot. Go figure. I did. And I made a lot of sacrifices. And like I said, I'm not the best, I'm not the worst. But what were these people that have tried to destroy my life, my credibility, that now run around on Lindell TV with their little crosses? The people that did that, what were they doing? What were they doing when I was taking that video and my boys had just turned one? And almost certainly, I guarantee you that within a few minutes or at least a couple hours of taking that video, bombs were falling, were coming in and right in over my head. Right, or either over my office or my hooch. They came in daily. Daily, 2-3 times a day sometimes at times. What were these pieces of shit doing who have just tried everything possible to destroy my credibility, my company, everything? What were they doing? They were creating, they were starting, they were inciting the violence that we ended up seeing on January 6th, on January 6th, and even on the 5th. That's where they were. Where were they before that? For years while I was over there, running around with Joe from Girls Gone Wild, or Lord knows what Tori was doing. She certainly has nothing tangible to support what she's been doing, other than she's a 350-pound super spy, 212 Mensa IQ genius that can't prove where she's been, or she'd have to kill you. That's all it takes to absolutely destroy the life of this guy right here. It's all it takes for this garbage to do that. And it should, every American should be disgusted. Mike Lindell putting them on his Christian program, where we've already seen that they're freaking OTA, OTAN, or freaking time masons. All of these people, when are you going to understand? All of these people are lying to you, just like Walt Disney did with the lemmings. They're just lying to you.
Anyway, happy birthday.
So that's one of the scenes from Shadowgate, and Patrick was in there as well. Now here's another little scene.
They're just lying to you. Where is that? It started over.
You know, if you can, and this is what President Trump's just looking.
No, that's not it. I don't even know which one I had that under. We do our best, folks. We do our best. And hey, we are into the last minute of the show. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I'm going to have an interesting conversation here shortly. See what happens, right? I'm going to keep speaking out, doing everything that I can, because that's what I do. You don't enlist in the Army at the age of 39. You don't turn 40 at basic training if you just give up because 212 Mensa IQ sociopath tells you to. You don't. You turn those lemons into some lemonade. This is bigger, I think, than me for sure. Millie, Gavin, Alex Jones. It's bigger than Alex Jones. It, I think, goes right to what I was saying on InfoWars that no one's ever disputed. They just attack me with personal things and then run around on their platforms that they're given by these pieces of shit that I call out and continue to call out. Why do I call them out? Because if you give a platform to people that you know are lying psychopaths or sociopaths, or just, seditionists, or people who have participated in a failed coup d'etat, then you don't get you're not getting my respect. People need to just do what they have to do, but I tell you right now, our country is in some deep shit, and if you don't wake up and stop supporting these people and start calling them out, You're going to get exactly what you deserve, because I can't do everything. I can't stop these people. My life has been destroyed by them. You think I enjoy doing this? You think calling out Nick Searcy gains me gains me a whole bunch of followers? No, it drops by hundreds. You think calling out Millie and Gavin gained me any followers? You think calling out Tori gained me any followers? No, it cost me thousands and thousands of people. People that I was trying to communicate to and tell my story, not try to sell a book, but to tell my story. And they weaponize these people against me, against you, against us, against our country. We better wake up, folks. We better wake up quick. I'm not going to be doing this shit forever. I can't. I don't even want to be. That's the difference between me and them. This is something that they've been building their resumes for a decade. But it's something this is something I'm trying to stop. I mean, not stop people from broadcasting on the internet, but I'm trying to fix the problem. I'm trying to provide another alternative, another solution through National Public Internet. But also, until we have those things, we need to protect our infrastructure. We need to protect our election process. It is the core of our democracy, right? And if we don't protect that, and I'm not talking about the voting machines, I'm about hacking the voting machines. I'm talking about hacking your minds. Thank you very much, everyone. Good night. I'm going to send you guys off into the closing here. I hope I have that set up proper, though. Thank you very much, folks. I will see y'all again on Friday. I'm still waiting to hear back about the final approval for the new studio. But boy, this is gonna be huge if I'm able to do that. But then we got all these other things going on right now too. I'm really looking forward to a conversation that I'm gonna have tonight, very shortly, which I'm telling you, these people who think they're so fucking smart. Oh, it's just a freaking PFC. Yeah, he is. Just a molecule, too. That's what Patrick Byrne said. What does he know? Good night, and God bless everyone. Oh, hey, Fred's song's on. Let's let that play.
Indiana boy in the jungle far from home, world on my shoulders, I'm 19 years old. They hit me from all sides, my blood begins to spill, running out of hope and bullets up on Hamburger
We'll dedicate
Hill.
this song to
This
several
could
trans
be
right now.
the end of me, but there's a fire inside me saying, I'm crawling out of here. If it's the last thing that I ever do, I'm crawling out of here. Know my mission and I'll see it through, see it through. Woke up in a hospital, curtains round my bed. The doctors won't look me in the eye. No one here can tell me if I get to keep my legs. And all I wanted was to live a simple life. This could be the end of me, but there's a fire inside me saying, I'm crawling out of here. If it's the last thing crawling out of here. Know my mission and I'll see it through. I'll see it through. My life tells a story, and when that's all that remains, you tell them I took up the battle just like I was trained. I'm still keeping that same promise that I made on my first day. When they call my name as I reach the gate, I'll turn to you and wait. I'm crawling out of here. If it's the last thing that I ever do, I'm crawling out of here. Know my mission and I see it through. I'm crawling out of here. There's something I've been put here to do. I'm crawling out of here. Know my mission and I see it through. I saw it through.